Soul to Soul. We are a weekly broadcast for dance teachers, studio owners, and those who have a passion for dance education. It is about celebrating the dance life, highlighting our common bond, and the chance to share both the triumphs and struggles within the field that we all love so much. Be sure to check out all our broadcasts at regold.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Soul to Soul. My set looks different this week. That's because I am in my office space here at the Dance Life Retreat Center. I lit us a fire in the back because it felt like that kind of evening. It is 20 degrees here in Massachusetts. And this is where I've been for the last, how long has it been? 9 months? No, I'll make that 11 months, I think. This is the space where I get to create. This is the space where I present seminars, and I thought tonight I'd share that with you. Welcome to Soul to Soul. We are about authenticity during these times. We're so excited that you're spending your Friday night with us. For those of you who are new to our broadcasts, you can learn more and see our previous episodes at regold.com. Tonight, we will welcome Chasta Hamilton, who is an author, a motivational person, a studio owner, and somebody who's passionate about dance education. I'm really happy to welcome her. And she's the author of Trash the Trophies, which is something that will be really interesting to talk about tonight. I'm sure you'll all be inspired. Soul to Soul next Friday will feature Stacy Morgan. She is from Australia. She has been involved in IDEA for a long time. She is a mentor in the Gold Alliance. She's a studio owner and a leader who will share some really cool concepts and ideas with all of us pertaining to studio ownership. And in the comments, let us know where you're from. I'd love to hear from you. Let me go to comments here. Love to hear from you, and let us know where you're from. And now I want to go to On My Mind, which is how we start the show each week. Chicago, welcome, Valerie. Actually, I'm going to check out a couple of these before I start. Chris is here from Pennsylvania. Luann is from Florida. Newfoundland, welcome. Idaho, Massachusetts. Thanks for spending your Friday night with us. Isn't it interesting how Friday nights have changed so much since last year at this time? Arkansas. Wait, I want to say something about Arkansas. Tamsin from Arkansas. My family grew up. My mother grew up in Arkansas. She was born in Arkansas. I still have family there, and I love going back there to the peaceful country and fond memories of Arkansas. Cleveland, Ohio, British Columbia. Welcome, everybody. Happy to have you with us. So now I'm going to go to this, which is on my mind. Not all dancers will develop into professional dancers. So not all of our students are going to become pros. As dance teachers, one of our primary goals is to teach life lessons and skills that offer children the best chance for success. The best chance for success. Dance education encompasses far more than technique or the steps that the children learn. I believe that the discipline of dance training gives young people a better understanding of the spirit of teamwork and discovering what they can accomplish through hard work. They also have an opportunity, especially in these times, to lose themselves in the music, the movement, and the art that we love so much. Our goal is to educate the minds, bodies, and souls of our students. Let me read that again. Our goal is to educate the minds, bodies, and souls of our students, teaching them skills needed for a successful life, whether or not they stay involved in dance. Simple. I posted this today on social media. There were like 140 people who shared it. And in my mind, I was thinking, wow, I hit a chord here. But now I want to explain what this whole statement means to me. The best chance for success. Do we as studio owners realize that a kid who even comes in once a week to our studio is learning and growing in a way that children who don't have the opportunity to dance is? That we in our 1 hour's time as a mentor can look into a child's eyes and say, I believe in you. I believe in you. We can do that if we don't judge our kids by the technique or the ability, but simply by who they are as people and their love for dance. Far more than technique in the steps. What's more than technique in the steps? Our words, our leadership skills, our ability to inspire, our ability to help a child to better believe in themselves. That's what more than technique and steps means to me. If I have a chance, whether it's an intensive kid or a recreational kid, to look and do something that's gonna make them more successful, no, I'll back that up. Give them a comment that's gonna bring a smile to their face, that's gonna make them believe in themselves, regardless of their skill level. How cool is that? That's who we are. They also have an opportunity to lose themselves in the music, movement, and the art that we love so much. So you get that chance too. But how cool is it, and I'm sure you've all noticed it, that during this pandemic time, our kids, they don't need to jump, fly, turn, kick, create a new number. They just need to move to the music. They just need to feel the vibe of the other kids in the classroom with them. That's what the art is all about. The feeling, the soul. We as dance educators during this time, when kids are on social media, they're on their computer all day, we get, whether it's Zoom or it's live, we get the chance to put on some music and allow them to let go of all that life is bringing them at this time and lose themselves. And I'll remind you again, we get the chance to do that for ourselves every time. Minds, bodies, and souls. That was something that was in this statement that I made. To me, my impact on the mind, body, and soul of a child is much more important than how many pirouettes they do. And by soul, because this program is called Soul to Soul, to me, a success could be that 15-year-old tapper who's been coming once a week for the last 10 years, who gets out on stage and just smiles a joy that you can't explain. Seeing her move. Now, no, she is not as good as our intensive kids. But she's been there for so long. She loves coming every week. She gets out on the stage. She's confident. Her teachers believe in her. There are so many more of those students in our school. We could just realize the joy that they could bring to us, or that we could see in all of them. How cool would that be for dance education? And successful in life, whether or not they stay involved in dance. I can't, and all of you will agree, I'm sure, if comment if you agree on this. The kids who grew up in our studio, they become lawyers, doctors, entrepreneurs, confident women who believe in themselves. How cool is that? That's what preparing young children for a successful life is all about. I am switching over here to see if I can see your comments. Also, yes, sir, they have. I see it. Welcome, Valerie. Welcome, Flava Dance. June from Canada. Alicia. Danielle. Ooh, Australia. Welcome, Danielle. So I would like to now share with you something really cool. Hang on one second. This is the 2020 Dance Life Teacher Conference promo. Actually, I'd like to make a little announcement. I actually made this earlier in the week. We are going to offer a virtual option for this conference. We will be live, but we are going to offer a virtual option by popular demand. And honestly, because there are so many people who are fearful that they can't travel. So you can count on that happening. Here we go. And on the other side, I'm going to welcome Chasta. Hello, everybody. I'm excited to introduce you to my friend, Shasta Hamilton. Welcome, Shasta.
Thank you. Happy Friday. So excited to be here tonight with everyone.
Shasta, I know that you came to us tonight, as each of our guests do, with a quote that kind of means something to you at this time. I'd love you to share that with us, please.
So I love quotes. Like all through high school, they would be on my notebook, around my mirror. I'm a big affirmation person, and this is one that has carried me through all high school to now. And I look at it every single day. Every morning in Africa, a gazelle wakes up. It knows it must move faster than the lion or it will not survive. Every morning, a lion wakes up and it knows it must move faster than the slowest gazelle or it will starve. It doesn't matter if you are the lion or the gazelle. When the sun comes up, you better be moving.
And what does that mean to you?
That means that whatever the day brings, some days are bigger and bolder than others, but that you get up and you get it done and you put your best effort forward and you try to make as much impact as you can on any given day.
Has that been tough for you over the last few months?
It's been a creative challenge, but it's also been an opportunity. So early in the pandemic, I had to give myself these affirmations to kind of navigate it. And it was 1, gratitude over grump, 2, faith over fear, and 3, opportunity over obstacle.
I love gratitude over grump. Can you repeat that one more time? Gratitude over grump.
Gratitude. So we even did a digital session for the whole studio about how everybody should be practicing gratitude over grump because it was so easy to get grumpy in, those early months. And I had a mom send me the most amazing email. And she was like, I just want to thank you because my daughter put her laundry away today. And she said she was practicing gratitude over grump.
So there you go, the non-dance lessons. And
exactly.
Listen, if you can make parents happy because their kids will put away their clothes and do things like that, can you imagine how cool our registration or how high our registration will be?
Yes.
So you and I both got involved last week. Actually, you were the one who made me aware of what was going on with World of Dance. I don't want to keep our viewers hanging, but I'm wondering, got any final thoughts to wrap up World of Dance?
I put it out there. I was amazed with the community response. And, I think transparency is good. Knowing what's happening in our industry is good. But I think the focus really has to be on our impact and what we can do. So carry that knowledge, know what struck the wrong chord, and let's move forward and continue doing the amazing, wonderful things that we've all been doing for many, many years.
Okay, I'm with you on that. There was a point last week where I said, I hope this is a moot point by next week, and in my heart and soul I believe it is. It is. We are strong, we are united. Don't tangle with us, we know what we do. And I love it when our industry comes together because it happens, and it's great when it happens.
And we're smart, we're powerful. But I love thinking that the front window is bigger than the rear view. So I always say, let it happen. Don't get hung up on the back and keep going front. So that's what we're doing, and I just consider it a moment in time.
So Shasta, tell me about being your perception at this time. I think it's important. And this has been a discussion in our dance community for a couple of weeks. What is your perception of being a leader at this time, especially as a dance person?
It's moving. And, that for us, that means multiple things. Like all of these words that we hear right now are like dance words, like move, pivot. So it's so dancey and it's so fun because this is what we do. And I think that's the most important thing, is that we don't stop, or we don't stand still, right? Because when we stand still, it's when we become complacent. So we keep making these creative contingencies, rolling with the punches, showing everyone how adaptable and strong we are. And, we're leading in our industry, but the world is seeing what we're doing as well. And the dance education industry has just been amazing from the very beginning of all of this.
I actually have to say all of our viewers should agree with that. We have shown our resilience. We have shown the pivot word is, if you ask me what the word of the year is, it's pivot, because there could be 3 pivots in a day. But boy, has our community pulled up their bootstraps, come up with new ideas. What we couldn't do before is okay, because we have 3 things we are now trying out that seem to be working. It's a creativity thing, right? Would you agree with that? Why did we survive as a dance community?
Well, we survived because it's, I really believe that this art is a passion that is so inherent to our being that we understand how important it is for our personal catharsis. And we never want to take that away from our students. So when this pause happened, we said, no. If anyone needs anything, it's that they still dance. They still have this performance piece in whatever form that it has to take, because we know how that feels. And I think, that relatability is one of the reasons that we were so quick to act. And I mean, there's still people that are just sitting around waiting for things to go back to the way they were.
Ooh.
Not necessarily in the dance industry, but like in the bigger picture, yeah.
I'm going to say this, then I want to hear your opinion. And maybe it's life too, but I'll say dance industry is where my thought is. I don't think we're ever going back to the same. Do you?
No, not completely and not fully. I think that there will be contingencies. We're always going to think about things a little differently. And we're going to be more prepared, right? Like this was a momentous occasion that happened on a global scale. And it will be talked about probably for the rest of our lives. And, we're going to continue to adapt, but at the heart of what we do, that's not going to change. And that's empowering and inspiring people through the performing arts. And we're just going to figure out the vehicle and the way and the format that we can do it, whatever the world throws at us.
I want to ask you what you think about this. The world has thrown a lot at the dance studio owner and the dance teacher, but I see them surviving in a way that even some of them didn't know they could. Do you think that the parents and the kids are realizing that this dance thing and these people they go to see every week are having the kind of impact on them that they really are? I hope I said that question right.
Without a doubt, because, we have been standing when so many extracurriculars have stopped, schools have stopped. And we figured it out and we said, no, this community is not going to break down. It may look different. It may feel different for a bit, but we're going to keep going. And we're like the Energizer bunnies at this point. We've been doing it 11 months and people take note. And I think there's a greater appreciation for who we are and what we do now than there's ever been. And, this is kind of ironic, but did you know that the last time we really chatted prior to this was a podcast, and it was called Embracing Chaos and Change?
And wait. That was before the pandemic, yes, right?
Yes.
Wow.
I know.
And what's funny, right, is we didn't know how much change and chaos that we could take.
I know. Like, remember when people used to get their feathers ruffled because they couldn't use a CD anymore?
Oh, or a
Or
costume
cassette tape.
bleed, or yeah, the things that used to bother us. Now it's, wow, can we have class next week? And if we can, how many kids can we put in that class? So you wrote a book. First, I want to pat you on the back for being an author and committing to doing something. I'm sure we have some viewers and myself, even though I did it one time, sitting down, following through. I'm patting you on the back because you have published a book called Trash the Trophies, How to Win Without Losing Your Soul.
That's what it looks like.
I
love the cover.
I love it too. How to Win Without Losing Your Soul. Isn't that perfect for Soul to Soul?
I think so.
We'll get to that in a minute. But first, tell me, what inspired you to write this?
Yeah. So every time that I talk about the book, I always like to say that it is about our experience as a studio in making the choice to move away from the competitive dance industry and kind of rebrand and recreate our programming to develop something that was more true to my vision and my passion and my legacy. But I am in no way anti-competition. I actually have a competitive spirit myself. And, I just believe in healthy, meaningful, positive competition. And that's what is discussed in the book. And around 2013, when the industry, there were all these changes and shifts. And I was just like, this doesn't feel right. That gut feeling that's really icky. And my staff convinced me to give it 2 years to watch, take notes, observe. So we took a 2-year period, and I took a lot of journaling and notes, kept emails, saved complaints, remembered my feelings and experiences. And in 2015, I said, it's time. It's time for us to make this really, really big change. And there were bumps and there were hurdles. And we eventually got to the other side, which felt really good, only to be met shortly thereafter with a pandemic. But that's okay. It's all opportunity. And in 2018, I was speaking at the Dance Life Teacher Conference in Arizona. And I had mentioned, I didn't get into details nor did I even say anything about writing a book, but I just said that we had stepped away from competition. And a studio owner came up to me afterwards and she said, I really wish that I could be brave enough to do something like this. And I was like, you can, I promise you can do it. And she had tears in her eyes, and it was just such a visceral experience. And then we parted ways, and I had no contact information. So I was like, I have to write this down, because if this could help one other person, then this story and all of this craziness surrounding it, it's worth it to share. And that's kind of how the book was born.
So you just said there were hurdles and bumps when you made the decision to do this switch.
Big old bumps.
Tell us, for somebody who might be thinking about that, what were your biggest bumps? What were your biggest hurdles? And I'll throw in this. Did all faculty go in the direction, or were they in favor of this? How'd that go?
All faculty did not. Some left and opened their own studios that are now doing exactly what I did not want to be doing, which I was doing at the time. And there were people that left, and, there was undermining, there was toxic behavior. And the thing is, the biggest piece and the biggest challenge was resistance, because people hate change. They really hated it before the pandemic. Now everyone is getting so used to change. Change is easier. So this is the time this is the prime time to do anything you've been thinking about doing because the world is poised for it. But in 2015, it was not. And everybody would be like, Chasta, why do you want to swim upstream? You have a very successful program. You're winners, whatever that means. Because the winning that we were doing was not winning from my perspective. So that resistance and the buy-in and getting the brand and the storytelling finessed, that was probably the biggest piece of the puzzle.
And for those that may be watching, because I know our dance educator community, when you lost people and they opened their own studios, did there come this time where you said or didn't feel confident in your decision? And then I got one more to follow. And in the end, do you still have as many students as you had before you made the decision? That was a lot of questions. Just go.
So first, the pain of the program, excuse me, was so bad at the time of the change. Like I would be in Target breaking out in hives. I would feel teary going to the studio. All of these emotions that I had never felt surrounding the performing arts and dance. So it was very physiological. And I was just like, this can't be healthy. So by the time it was time to change, like I knew, they say sometimes you have to get to the point where pain is so bad that whatever happens on the other side is better regardless. And I mean, like when we're talking about the teacher that left, things were happening. Like she would invite 6 of the 11 kids in one company to be flower girls in her wedding. So it was just all of this negativity of and divisiveness. And I mean, it was just ick. So we got outside of it. We got to that first of we're changing. We told everyone we're rebranding, we're remodeling. Stay with us or don't. But this is who we are and what we're doing. And that's when a lot of people left.
Did you lose kids as well as teachers?
Yes, kids and teachers. But I will say, so our comp team, when we transitioned from a competitive team to an intensive training program, the numbers decreased, but overall enrollment increased. But now, even in this pandemic season, our intensive training program has more enrollment than our competitive team ever did.
Very interesting. So, you got over the hump. Any regrets?
Only that I didn't do it sooner.
Wow. So tell us, for those watching who either want to cut back a little or maybe considering this, because I, like you, I believe in competition. I know it made me better growing up as a dancer. I just don't know if it is healthy for it to be the only focus of why we dance. And we could talk about that for hours, but
we could talk about that for hours. But, my whole thing was, I remember it was one of the weeks after the change had happened, and a student said, so we aren't doing competitions anymore. And I said, we are going to train to be competitive at life, but we're not going to be doing dance competitions.
Competitive at life. I like that. So what is it that you are doing with your kids? What have you replaced the experience with?
So when, we said we have to figure out the pillars that this program will be founded upon. And this program will kind of serve as the foundation for all of our programming at the studio, because much to your message tonight, it is about inclusivity. It is about creating a welcoming environment. That is to say anyone can dance, because that's our job as educators. We teach, right? So regardless of skill level or experience, come through our doors and let us see and hear you as the person that you are, and let us nurture that. That's the most important thing. So those 4 pillars are technique, performance, community, and character. So everything we do has to somehow tie back into those 4 things in order for it to fit the mission. We replaced competitions with community performances. Of course, those are on pause right now in the COVID season. But So we will typically perform 4 to 8 times per semester at no cost to the parents because it's community performances. And, the other thing is it builds your community reputation. So you're exposing yourself to your community that then comes back and wants to be a part of the program because they're seeing you in the community. The other thing, we do a capstone benefit show each year that's rooted in peer-to-peer philanthropy. We have a leadership lab for our teens that helps them with life skills like project management, confidence, writing skills, how to do like an elevator pitch. So it's this really holistic approach on, yes, let's make you an excellent dancer, but above and beyond being an excellent dancer, let's make you a really fierce and amazing human being, because that's what the world needs more of ultimately. I get really passionate about it.
I love it. I thought you were going to go on, but I think you said something there that I'd love our viewers to take in, and that is, if you go out into your own community, you will build your community within your studio. If everything we do is taking a selected group of kids 75 miles away, how will that help to build our business? It's more going to build the ego or our artistic drive. Okay, I'll give it that. But in reality, if our ultimate goal is to build a stronger business and a stronger community that supports that business, the more we get out into that community, the more students we're going to have from that community. I want to say that's brilliant.
And, something as I was writing the book and kind of going through all of my notes, this was something that really stuck out to me. And it's, are we losing creative opportunity in the art because this competitive kind of machine and cycle has become so formulaic? Like there's a formula to what works. So what if there's like a brilliant artist that maybe has a style that, because it hasn't been recognized as a winner in this deregulated industry, isn't expressing that style because it's not winning, and we're missing out on all of these new forms that we really were seeing in like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s that aren't as prevalent right now. So are we hindering our art because of this segment? And, that's a lot of people try to put competitive dance industry and dance education industry as one, and they are not. And I always make sure to tell my clients that there is the dance education industry, and then there is the competitive dance industry. And I think that's important because a lot of what they see in the media is competition.
Keep going. Keep going. I'm just like patting you on the back as you're going because I never thought about it that way.
Where's the next Fosse?
Yeah. And also that our community might think of our studio as being a competitive kind of atmosphere, even if we're not, because of the influence of television and this whole competition scene.
And the reason that this came to my attention, so I was very fortunate to receive an academic scholarship to college, and I get invited back every year to help with interviews at the university. And we were sitting in the boardroom one day, and we go around, we introduce ourselves. I said what I do, and one of my peers looked at me and goes, "Well, I would never put my kid in that because I've seen on TV the skimpy outfits, the hypersexualization." And I said, whoa, that's not who we are. Like, that's not what I do. So that was kind of a light bulb moment because we're entrenched in it. Like, we know all of this, but the people on the outside that are our clients, they don't. So we have a job as dance educators to make sure that they understand. And another point of conflict that I was running into is, we, as being the people that are funneling the money to these events, in a way, that's an endorsement. So if a client becomes dissatisfied because of an experience at a competitive event, even if we have no control over it, it could affect their perception of our business. So for example, if we had a student that was winning, they would feel like they needed to be challenged more and would go somewhere else. Or if a kid was losing, they would say, well, you're not challenging my dancer enough. And it's like, it's a lose-lose. So you cannot align your business with a third-party industry that has that level of impact, right? Like we have to be so careful with the vendors that we choose if they can impact what's happening in our building.
Okay, you left me without words, and you guys know that doesn't happen very often. Because you phrased it differently than I've ever seen it, this third-party influence. I had not thought about it that way. So, what's the atmosphere and culture of the school with? I think I know this answer.
It is like running around with Care Bears. You remember the cartoon from the 80s?
Yeah.
Like it is so happy and it is so joyful. And that's not to say that we haven't had challenges, because we do. And we've had to have behavior corrections and the learning things that happen in any type of educational environment. But the toxicity is gone and the community is back and the technique is progressing for every student, because everyone feels seen and heard, and my teachers are happy. They don't feel like they're being judged by this deregulated industry. And it's happy, and it's the place that I wanted to create. So I feel very proud and very blessed that we were able to confidently go in this direction and stand behind it with conviction. And it has truly helped us this past year, as we've just had to make pivot after pivot.
So for our studio owners, teachers who are hearing you tonight and thinking to themselves, wow, I might be able to do something like this. What do you think the first steps are? And wait, you said this at the beginning, but I feel like I want to say it now. Because our industry. So I'm making this statement. This isn't about not doing dance competition or being against dance competition. This is about offering a diversified education and making a choice what's good for you, or which student should compete and which student shouldn't. Okay, I had to put that kind of.
We should have that running across the bottom.
Because I feel strongly, Shasta, I directed competitions for a long time.
I remember you had one, right?
Oh, 24 years. And things changed, and that's why it was time for me to go to do something else. But I can tell our viewers tonight that when I was 10 years old, that annual dance competition is something I looked forward to, worked and took extra ballet classes so I'd be better. So there is this aspect that will improve the dancer, but it's a piece. Okay, put out the disclaimer, now you talk.
But it is a piece, and people will ask me, like, would you ever go back to dance competitions? And I say I'm not going to say that we're never going to do it, because I think the industry has an opportunity to shift and pivot too. Like, as we in the dance education industry have pivoted, it would be nice and refreshing to see that piece. The competitive industry kind of work some tweaks out, because I feel like it's become very mechanical and very profitized. And that was one of the motivating factors is, you see $150 going out the door for a 2-minute solo. And it's like, what could you do with $150? You could buy a ticket to a Broadway show. You could have private lessons. You could work on your voice lessons, so it's just like, how are we making this a really strong return on investment for the hard-earned dollars that our clients are trusting us in their spending? And I was just like, I don't think I would pay this if I had a kid, in
I was
2015.
just going to say mic drop when you said that. And as we're coming back to life here, whatever the new norm is, we have to wonder if the values of our parents and the kids are going to be the same. Will they want all of these numbers, all of these costumes, all of this traveling? Has the shift of what's really important not only changed for a lot of dance educators, but for the families in our community?
And, it's not healthy. It's not healthy to expect your team to spend a 40-hour weekend going into a 40-hour week. It's intense. And I have felt so much happiness in my staff without this like pressure of like the packed weekends, and then jumping right back and being at their best in the week. And where you want to be your best is in your classroom under your roof, because that's your business, and it's, especially as I was writing the book, it was just like light bulb, you don't see it when you're in it. And I didn't even see it all when I was in it. But it makes so much sense.
I want to tackle something, and we don't have a lot of time. I may go over a little, so hang on, everybody. I have a question here. No, it's not a question, it's a comment, and I want to get an opinion. See if you agree with me. I think it's us, the adults, the educator, the teacher, who determines whether the parents want competition. Not only want it, but they desire to do it because of what we say and how we act about it. So someone just wrote, unfortunately, my parents still want competition. My response, because I know this person, and I say it with a smile, is you have to start changing their mind. It's when we get excited about it and we say how important it is and we focus in on posting pictures of our winners and never posting pictures of the other kids that makes it that our parents want dance competition. Thoughts?
Yeah, and so I like to say that there were 3 categories of parents that we dealt with. And when we started changing our messaging and explaining things to them, there were the competitive diehards that were just not going to fit into this new culture, and it was better for them to go. And then there were the people in the middle, kind of like the Venn diagram, that could be swayed, but maybe also still had one foot into competitions. And then there was the other side of it, which were people, and they were like, this makes so much sense. This is great. And it's in that messaging and in that external storytelling and explaining and educating, because they rely on us to be the professional voice of entrusting their child. So we have to take time and tell them the whys. And even with my staff, we have to take time to say why we're doing something and really explain it and make sure it makes sense to our overall vision and our overall strategy.
We could go on and competition talk of any kind. I don't do it a lot on this show, but competition on a talk of any kind has sparks such strong emotions from every side that I've spent a lot of time avoiding the subject over the last few years. But I think if there was ever a time, you've said it already, but I'm reiterating it, there was ever a time we could start to shift, that is the blessing of this pandemic. I mean that.
A huge blessing. And, I'm seeing some of the stuff about the block times, and it's like, here's the thing. take that block time format and rent your own venue and put your business's name on the show. Like, that's our capstone of the intensive training program, is how we give back. And since we've been doing this, we've funded a clean water well in Uganda. We've donated to the Me Fine Foundation, the Frankie Lemon School for Developmental Needs, and this year Comfort Zone Camp, which is a camp for children that are suffering bereavement from the loss of parents or siblings. So that's teaching kids that, one, that this art, like, yes, it's for personal joy, but it's not for personal ego. And that you can use your art to do bigger and more expansive things. And to see them put that on resumes and talk about that confidently in interviews, it's so humanistic and it's so exciting. And I mean, I grew up as a competitive dancer. I've been a competition judge. And so it is truly the pieces that I love the most were community, connection, and performance. So those were the three things that I had to make sure that this new program would replicate. Because the kids love performing on stage, but they also love jumping into the swimming pool at night. They want to hang out. And so we just have to make sure that we're cultivating those experiences.
I agree. Okay, I have a few more announcements. I'd love for you to stay with me. We've got people fired up out there with a lot of opinions. I've been sharing them. People believe you're a great leader. I almost said that, leader. And I do too. I want you to know that.
Thank you.
Stay with me for a second, and I want to share something with everyone. Let me see if I got this. So we are, before we close out, we have been offering these courses. They're 4-week courses or 4-session courses for studio owners. And the response has been awesome. For those of you that might be interested in continuing education opportunities, check it out at regold.com/courses. There's things there for office managers, studio owners. You can take the seminars on demand, or you can attend live. The 2 live ones coming up are Teaching the Early Years with Andrea Trench, who is awesome, and also Julie K. Stalcup will be talking about creating a dance teacher roadmap. So check those out. Join us next week for Soul to Soul. We'll have Stacy Morgan all the way from Australia. Check out past episodes of Soul to Soul at regold.com. And now, Chasta, any final words of wisdom?
So I just, I know that making change is scary. That's what we were talking about even pre-pandemic. But in this whole process, in the fall, I have 2 facilitators that run the leadership lab with our teens, and they did a book club on the book. And the teens were so invigorated by this conversation that they wrote a discussion guide, which is free and readily available to anyone that's interested in going through it. But it was so interesting, and I was completely uninvolved with this project, to hear how the text spoke to them. And they were like, this makes so much sense. And it made me realize I'm not sure that in that transition, I did a lot of talking to parents and to teachers, and that was good, but I'm not sure that I spoke enough to the students as well. So let's not underestimate the power of our influence at all levels, because it's so grand. It's so grand and it's so exciting.
Your words of wisdom are awesome. I agree. It's grand, it's exciting, it's a gift. And it's a gift that we can pass on to the next generation, and their passion for our art will only enhance what we do and spread dance to more places. And I think in the world we live in right now, that would be a really cool thing. Thank you again, Chasta.
Thank you. It's so fun to be on here tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming and spending your Friday night with us.
We're dance people. This is exciting on a Friday night for us. Again, thanks, Shasta. Thank you all for being with us. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Thanks.